All right, I got one here backed into a garage door that was about halfway down. Broke the spoiler, the third brake light. Put a little bit of a scratch on the roof. I'm gonna be able to polish that off, looks like. That right there. And nick this shark fin. So I'm gonna just tape around this and clean this part, sand this down smooth and feather this out and put a little primer on just this ridge here where it's scratched. Just enough to where I can sand it smooth. And I'm gonna paint the spoiler off the car. I've got that right here. I couldn't find a pearl white spoiler just to swap it out with. And even if I had found one, it probably would have been scratched, at least in storage or shipping. Got a little bit of scratch right there. And right in here, I don't think that's definitely not gonna buff out. That's real deep. That's all the way through to the plastic. There's a little bit right here. That may sand out a few other places, but essentially I'm going to have to just prime a few spots anyway, so I'm going to sand the whole thing like I'm going to paint it. That way all the primer will stick no matter where it lands. And then I'll come back and just sand the primer spots, and then I'll seal it white. I'm going to paint this off the car. It came with the light and everything, so this should just bolt in. It's missing the nut right there, the slip-in nut like that, but I'll take one of those out of the old one. Everything else appears to be here. I'll just have to unplug it there at the body, and also add the washer line right there. Runs through it, comes out right there. This one has the option for the removable glass. This actually pops up separately with a button right here. So you've got access to all the fasteners in here. I've got to take the side trim off, these black pieces that didn't come with it. And then it should come off, and I'll just put these back on after. But I'm just going to take, I think it's 6 bolts out of this thing, and it should come right off. And I'll have to just disconnect the wiring, which is back in here. That might be a little hard to get to, but once I get this loose, I'll have a lot more room back in here to get it off, get disconnected. I'm going to get this primed. I got to put a little bit of primer on the BMW trunk in these areas where I'm trying to fix areas that were damaged or welded. I'll put the primer on this and the shark fin up here at the same time. Alright, got it masked off. I'm able to actually rotate this thing around a little and then tuck the tape under it. So that should be able to just stay there till I'm done painting it. What I'll do is I'll have to paint it on the car. I don't want to have to take it off because I got to drop the headliner to get it out. But I'll just wrap the car in plastic, do a little bit of a cutout right around here, paint this thing with the spoiler and over here off to the side. Alright, I'm doing this wet just because it keeps it flushed. It doesn't load the sandpaper near as fast. I'm just going to flatten the top of this out to where I can't really feel anything. There might be a little bit of a nick right in here that I can still feel, but the primer will fill that in. I don't want to take too much of the plastic off. So I'm just going to run around this corner where it was hit. I actually got it down here too a little bit, but I think that'll come off with some thinner maybe. I'll try polishing that off before I sand it. I don't want to sand any more than I have to on this thing. Once I get this feathered in to where you can't really feel it anymore, that'll be good. I'm almost there. I'll get this sanded, and I'll scuff the entire thing just so that all the primer will stick. I'll come back and wet sand that out and get ready for paint. Alright, primer's on. Just got 2 coats. 1 coat probably was enough. Just put 2 coats on this. I'm going to let it set up for a little while, and I'll put some guide coat on it just so I can know that I've sanded all of it when the time comes. Now, I didn't have time to sand the rest of it. I wanted to sand the whole thing out, but I'm in a hurry to get this primer on here, so I just sanded the areas I had to, and I'll come back and sand this later. Alright, I've got the spoiler off, got it over there, comparing it to the other one. Had to actually close the latch here to trick it into thinking it was closed, so it would let me open the glass with this up to be able to access everything I needed to here, and to be able to get to the back of the connector where this thing snaps into this hole. I needed to have the hatch closed partially and also the glass up so I could get to the attachment points for the spoiler. So I needed the hatch and the glass open at the same time. But I've decided to go ahead and just take this fin off. Since I had to get in here behind this connector where it snaps into the body. Already got this dropped. All right, I finally got it out. It's 3 or 4 pieces here. I took the bolt out. This 10mm bolt just out of the roof. And this comes out with it. It's got a metal bracket that it tightens down against, tighten it to the roof skin. And this seal was just inside here. It snapped in. And then this actual antenna module will snap down. It snapped down inside this unit. But I took it all out just so I don't have to mask it off, and it just popped right out. So now I can just grab this in here, this little tab with a set of vice grips, and I can clamp my vice grips to my paint rack or whatever, and I can just spray this off the car. I also wanted to make sure that whenever this hit the garage door that she backed into, that it didn't break any seals up here. What I might do when I put it back in is just run a little bit of seam sealer or maybe strip caulk or silicone or something just right around this hole, just to double up on the seal to make sure that it doesn't leak. So now that I've got that out, I'm gonna pull all this tape off because the car's gonna have to sit out in the sun. It's already sat out in the sun 2 or 3 days, so this is nice and stuck real well. But I'm gonna get this off, and then I'll get the parts over there and get them prepped, and we'll be spraying them next. All right, this is 1 coat of white sealer. All right, the base coat will be next, and then the pearl coat after that. Looks like one more coat ought to do it. It's covering pretty well. One more coat of clear in just a few minutes and it'll be done. All right, I've got the spoiler mounted. I'm just going ahead and putting this fin back on. I'll show you a shot of that when I get this thing back in, but I want to show you this thing does have a foam gasket right there around the center of it, and it's fairly thick, so I'm not going to put any silicone on it. That area right there is thick enough that it'll seal. But I've got it all snapped back together. The gasket goes in first, and then this piece it hooks in right here on this white part, and then it just drops down and snaps there, that spot there, and on that side too. So it's kind of got a perimeter gasket just to kind of keep the inside of it from getting direct water and dirt, but then it's got an actual water seal around this connection, so I'm just going to leave it like it is. That'll be perfectly fine. Color match looks good. I actually used some leftover paint that I had, so let me get this thing mounted and I'll show you the final product. All right, here's the final look at it. Did a little bit of denibbing just on the side here. The top really not anything to worry about, but this is right at eye level, so I had knocked out 3 or 4 on either side. Color matched pretty well. Like I said, I had some leftover paint. I bought some of this white base, and I was just going to use the pearl that I had left from the other car I did back in, I think it was April or May, on an Avalon. And I actually had enough base out of that, so I didn't even go into the one I bought, the half pint that I bought. So I got that left for the next one. Catch you guys later.